A bank employee accessed the bank vault without any issues. Everything appeared normal and well organized, with all safety deposit boxes in their usual condition. Later, a bank customer requested access to her box. Upon entering the vault and inserting the keys into the box's lock, the lock unexpectedly turned and fell off, indicating that it was broken. To their astonishment, they discovered that 74 other boxes had suffered the same fate, with their valuable contents missing. What made this even more puzzling was the complete absence of any evidence regarding how the thieves had gained access to the vault. There were no visible holes in the floor or openings in the walls to explain their entry. The organization of the vault and safety deposit boxes was remarkably intact, belying any signs of tampering or forced entry. This particular detail raises intriguing questions. Why did the thieves take such care to maintain the vault's appearance, unlike typical bank robbery scenarios where chaos ensues? Moreover, the baffling mystery deepens as there is no apparent point of entry. There are no visible holes or openings that could explain how the thieves gained access. This heist stands out as one of the most cunning and distinctive theft operations on record, leaving even seasoned observers astounded. The setting for this extraordinary incident is the town of Brett, a relatively small community located within the famous state of Chicago. In the 1980s, the town's sole banking institution was a branch of the First National Bank, a federal entity under government jurisdiction. During that era, the bank's vaults operated under a unique protocol. At the close of the workday, the vault was indeed secured, but not with a conventional key. Instead, it was temporarily locked from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. Within this 16-hour window, a timer mechanism was employed to automatically unlock the vault after precisely 16 hours. During this duration, no method, be it a key, a secret code, or any other means, could open the vault. This distinctive security arrangement adds an extra layer of intrigue to the perplexing puzzle of how the thieves executed their audacious theft. It's worth noting that the bank vault did indeed possess a secret code, but even armed with this code, attempting to open it during the closure period would have been futile. The timer mechanism added an extra layer of security, rendering the code ineffective during specific times, including weekends. During the weekend, typically Saturday and Sunday, the bank followed a specific schedule. While it was open for half a day on Saturdays, operating only in the morning, the vault's protocol remained consistent. After the Saturday workday concluded around noon, the automatic timer lock would be set. This lock remained steadfastly sealed until Monday morning, marking the end of the weekend. On the fateful date of Saturday, April 11, 1981, the responsible bank employee dutifully locked the vault's door and configured the automatic timer to initiate its unlocking sequence on Monday morning, April 13, 1981, when the bank's operations resumed. This meticulous adherence to security procedures only adds to the mystique surrounding the subsequent events that unfolded within the vault. The employee entrusted with the vault's security input the secret code, granting access to the vault. At first glance, everything seemed to be in impeccable order, with no discernible irregularities. Within the vault resided an array of safety deposit boxes, serving as secure repositories for people's most valuable possessions, whether it be cash, gold, jewelry, or vital official documents. Each box was equipped with a dual key system, one key held by the vault's custodian, the employee, and the other by the respective customer who owned the box. Both keys were imperative for unlocking these boxes. Monday commenced as any other workday, proceeding without any hint of trouble. Customers came and went, and operations flowed seamlessly. Nevertheless, a customer who owned one of the safety deposit boxes approached the bank staff, expressing her desire to access her box. The vault employee dutifully accompanied her, and together they entered the vault. However, when they inserted their keys into the lock of her box, it abruptly fell apart, revealing that the lock was shattered. Swiftly, they opened the box and made a startling discovery: the vault had been plundered. In the immediate aftermath, the employee swiftly initiated an inspection of the remaining boxes, discerning that a total of 74 boxes had suffered a similar fate, with their locks broken and their contents stolen. Remarkably, the vault itself displayed no signs of tampering, and even the broken locks had been deftly returned to their original positions. However, a gentle touch revealed their precarious state, ready to fall apart. it became evident that the thieves had invested considerable effort into concealing their operation, evidently determined to prevent bank employees from discovering the theft immediately. The perplexing question that baffled everyone involved was the motive behind these meticulously executed thefts. The bank promptly alerted the authorities, summoning the police to investigate the matter. Given the bank's federal government affiliation, FBI investigators were also brought in to assist. Their findings revealed the staggering extent of the theft, with the stolen items tallying up to a sum exceeding $1 million, a substantial haul by any measure. Nevertheless, the crime scene presented an enigma that confounded investigators from the outset. How had the thieves gained entry? There were no visible openings, no telltale holes, and the vault door remained securely locked, showing no signs of damage or malfunction. Further adding to the bewilderment, the investigators stumbled upon more perplexing clues. They uncovered an old-fashioned alarm clock, alongside an array of tools suited for breaking open the safety deposit boxes, including crowbars and drills. Yet, despite their exhaustive efforts, the investigators found themselves in a confounding abyss of uncertainty. There was no trace of how the thieves had entered, departed, or even a single lead to pursue. Local newspapers dubbed this audacious heist as the perfect crime, a label that took on a surreal twist when it became apparent that the mastermind behind this caper was a seemingly ordinary individual, a hairdresser of all professions. This man, bearing the fitting name William Smarty, proved to be far from his unassuming occupation, as he had a dark history as a serial criminal and could aptly be described as a seasoned bank robber. William Smarty's audacious bank heist wasn't an isolated incident. It was, nonetheless, the crowning achievement of his criminal career. By day, he operated a prosperous hairdressing business in a women's salon, a seemingly lucrative endeavor. Yet, it appeared that Smarty yearned for a grander challenge, one that carried substantial risk. While the bulk of the operation was executed by Smarty himself, he did receive some modest assistance from his brother, Vincent. Vincent was a crucial collaborator in their criminal endeavors. Together, the brothers scoured the landscape for the perfect target, with a penchant for banks situated in affluent areas. The rationale behind this choice lay in the higher likelihood that individuals in these well-to-do neighborhoods would store valuable possessions within safety deposit boxes. When their exploration led them to the Barrington area and its bank, they identified it as the ideal mark. With their sights set on this particular institution, the two brothers boldly entered the bank and initiated their audacious scheme by approaching the bank staff. Smarty was one of those individuals with charm and a comfortable way of speaking, capable of deceiving anyone. He and his brother rented a safety deposit box from the bank, using a fake name. Smarty and Vincent embarked on a strategic approach to infiltrate the bank's inner workings. They cultivated a casual rapport with the vault employee, transcending the usual customer-employee interactions. Their visits to the bank became frequent, with a particular focus on the vault employee herself. They meticulously observed her, scrutinizing her routines. They noted the timing of her breaks and her natural behavior, honing in on the inherent vulnerabilities within the human element of the system rather than relying solely on technical weaknesses. One key observation was how the bank handled customer interactions. Upon a customer's arrival, who was the rightful owner of a safety deposit box, a verification process took place, including a check of their identity and name. In the company of the bank employee, they would open their box, affording the customer privacy. Vincent, the younger sibling, took on the role of engaging the employee in conversation or keeping her occupied while Smarty delved into the vault, conducting a thorough inspection. His goal was to uncover any potential factors that could facilitate the execution of their plan. The most crucial discovery Smarty made was that the bank employees verified identity upon entry but paid less attention to exit procedures, allowing him to exit the vault discreetly. With this knowledge in hand, Smarty's next move was to introduce the tools necessary for robbing the vault. He strategized about the ideal hiding place, and that turned out to be his own safety deposit box, a secure location only accessible to him. Carrying the tools concealed in a bag, he escorted the bank employee to the vault, opened his safety deposit box, and she stepped out to grant him privacy. This maneuver set the stage for their robbery heist. Smarty executed a meticulous plan to smuggle his tools into the vault without arousing suspicion. He avoided bringing all the tools at once, opting for a gradual approach to filling up his safety deposit box. However, he soon faced a dilemma. Some of the tools were large and wouldn't fit within the confines of the box. To address this challenge, he adopted a clever ruse. He informed the bank employees that he was an art dealer specializing in paintings and artworks, providing a plausible reason to carry large bags and items into the bank without raising eyebrows. Yet, he still had to solve the issue of where to store these larger bags containing his robbery tools. Observing the vault's layout, Smarty noticed a false ceiling, which presented the perfect hiding spot. Above this ceiling, he concealed his tools, along with supplies such as lights, food, and drinks. Another obstacle he faced was the vault's alarm system, primarily designed as a sound sensor to thwart break-ins through the walls or floor. Although Smarty had no intention of breaking through these barriers, he needed to disable the alarm to tamper with the safety deposit box locks. Fortunately, his electronics expertise proved invaluable, allowing him to deactivate the alarm by manipulating the speaker, rendering it ineffective. Nevertheless, Smarty remained wary that there might be other concealed alarm devices within the vault, beyond his view. To ensure he had neutralized all potential alarms, he strategically placed an alarm clock in the ceiling and set it to activate during the night when the bank was closed. This was a test to ascertain if any other alarm systems were in play. If there were hidden devices and sound sensors, the alarm clock would trigger them, and the police would respond accordingly. Observing the bank from a distance, Smarty waited to see whether the police or any authorities arrived first when the alarm clock sounded. The police indeed arrived, inspected the bank, and conducted a thorough check. However, upon confirming that no one was inside, they departed. This development alerted Smarty to the existence of additional alarm devices within the vault. In the days that followed, he embarked on a diligent search to locate and disable these concealed devices. One such device was cleverly hidden behind the safety deposit box cabinet, but Smarty's resourcefulness allowed him to disable every alarm system he encountered. To retest his success, he repeated the alarm clock experiment, placing it in the ceiling and setting it to activate at night. This time, when no police response followed, he knew he had effectively disabled all alarm devices, clearing the path for his theft heist. The clock is ringing, but no alarm has been triggered. Smarty and Vincent were thrilled about the improvement of their heist plan. On the crucial date of Saturday, April 11, 1981, Smarty adhered to his routine and visited the bank as usual. Engaging in a conversation with the vault employee, they proceeded together to the vault. Once there, the employee opened the safety deposit box with him and then stepped out of the vault, ensuring his privacy. Outside, his brother remained, wholly engrossing the employee in conversation and even resorting to flirtation to divert her attention entirely. In these pivotal moments, Smarty, who was inside the vault, seemingly vanished. But how did he manage this remarkable feat, and where did he go? The key element that drew Smarty to this specific bank was a small, empty space tucked away in the corner where the safety deposit boxes met. In the layout of the vault, this corner featured a small square space, a design element present in some bank vaults, including this one. Once the employee had exited the vault, Smarty utilized this hidden space to his advantage. He climbed above the safety deposit boxes and descended into that concealed, narrow compartment, effectively hiding himself from view. Crucially, the employee's attention was fixated on individuals entering the vault, not those leaving it. She remained oblivious to the fact that Smarty had stayed inside the vault and hadn't emerged. As the workday concluded, the employee locked the inner vault door and secured the larger outer door, activating the timer. Without a trace of suspicion, she departed for her weekend vacation, harboring no doubts about the security of the bank. Once Smarty was certain that the workday had concluded and everyone had left, he emerged from his concealed hiding spot within the vault. Turning on his lights, he retrieved his tools and assembled everything he needed to proceed with his caper heist. Breaking the locks on the safety deposit boxes was a painstakingly delicate task for Smarty. He came prepared with large screws that matched the lock's diameter precisely, ensuring that when he struck the lock, the impact would be clean and controlled. The objective was to break the lock while preserving both the lock and the box's appearance, leaving no visible signs of tampering. Smarty was meticulous in his approach, striving to maintain the illusion that everything was normal, concealing the fact that the locks had been broken and the contents of the boxes pilfered. He continued this painstaking process, extracting money and valuable items from the boxes. The task was arduous, particularly in the dim and stifling atmosphere of the vault. Periodic breaks were necessary due to the intense fatigue, during which he would eat and drink to regain his energy. Fortunately, the following day, Sunday, provided a much-needed break. What puzzled investigators most was Smarty's apparent role as a modern-day Robin Hood. As he accessed the contents of the boxes, he identified individuals with debts, mortgages, or those facing financial challenges. He started redistributing some of the valuable items he had acquired from the wealthier individuals' boxes into the boxes of those he believed to be less fortunate, burdened with debts, or facing more difficult circumstances. This humanitarian aspect of Smarty's actions added a layer of complexity to the heist. As Smarty concluded his work, he meticulously cleaned up, leaving no traces behind. He ensured that all the boxes were returned to their original positions and the locks were securely affixed. He double-checked each box and lock multiple times, ensuring that everything appeared in perfect order. To the naked eye, anyone entering the vault would see that all was well, boxes in their designated places, locks in their proper positions. Nonetheless, any attempt to open a box would result in the lock immediately falling off. Having completed the theft of money and jewelry, Smarty stashed his tools and belongings above the ceiling, while the loot went into a bag he had with him. He returned this bag to the empty square corner for safekeeping. On the morning of Monday, April 13, 1981, as all the bank employees arrived to commence their workday, the bank teller opened the vault as part of her daily routine. Upon entering the vault, she observed nothing out of the ordinary. The vault door was securely closed, and the safety deposit boxes were in plain view, appearing entirely ordinary. Everything seemed to be in its rightful place. Simultaneously, from his concealed vantage point in the empty corner, Smarty used a mirror to monitor the employee. He remained hidden, patiently awaiting the moment when the employee would exit the vault. Once he confirmed through the mirror that the vault was empty, Smarty emerged from his hiding spot, carrying his bags. An intriguing twist in the tale was Smarty's attire. He was dressed in workers' clothing. This was due to ongoing maintenance work at the bank during that period. However, Smarty astutely used this situation to his advantage. He donned brown attire similar to the uniforms worn by the bank's workers, seamlessly blending in. As he emerged from the vault with his bags, no one paid him any undue attention. He was perceived as just another worker among the staff, and it was natural for workers to carry bags with their belongings. Outside, his brother Vincent awaited him in a car. Without delay, Smarty stowed his bags in the rear trunk of the car, making a swift getaway. The audacity of Smarty's heist extended even further when it became apparent that the stolen loot exceeded what he could carry in a single trip. In an astonishing move, he boldly returned to the bank, ventured into the vault once more, and retrieved the remaining bags filled with ill-gotten gains. His departure from the bank, bags laden with stolen valuables, went entirely unchallenged. This heist undeniably ranks as one of the most intelligent and audacious bank robbery operations in history. FBI investigators meticulously scrutinized every aspect of the vault, documenting each corner and attempting to extract any potential fingerprints, but their efforts yielded no leads whatsoever. One particular enigma that perplexed them was the presence of the alarm clock. They grappled with its significance until, upon closer examination of the sound alarms, they realized that all of them had been skillfully disabled. This revelation shed light on the purpose of the clock. The investigators gradually became convinced that the perpetrators had orchestrated the operation with meticulous attention to detail, suggesting that they had likely rented one of the safety deposit boxes from the bank as part of their elaborate plan. The level of sophistication in this heist left an indelible mark on the annals of criminal history. The investigators delved into the list of safety deposit box owners, confirming the legitimacy of each entry, with one exception, an individual whose identity appeared dubious, likely Smarty. Despite collecting descriptions and appearances from bank employees, this information failed to lead the investigators to any conclusive results. The case remained unresolved for an extended period, with an entire year passing without significant progress, primarily because Smarty had registered under a fake identity. Nevertheless, after this year had elapsed, an incident unfolded in another town within Chicago involving a different bank. One of the bank's customers entered the restroom, only to have a portion of the ceiling fall onto his head. Startled by this unexpected occurrence, he looked up and noticed movement. Alarmed, he promptly informed the bank's security guard, who, armed with a flashlight, ascended to inspect the removable ceiling. To his astonishment, he discovered a man crouched and maneuvering within the ceiling. The guard, fearing the worst, descended quickly and contacted the police. Law enforcement arrived at the scene and instructed the man to descend from the removable ceiling, revealing him to be none other than William Smarty. He had been hiding within the restroom ceiling, situated adjacent to the bank vault. It became apparent that the bank vault had become his new target. Upon searching the area where Smarty had been concealed, the police discovered a set of tools remarkably similar to those employed in the first robbery. Subsequently, the FBI investigative team began connecting the dots and identifying other robberies that bore similarities to these incidents. One such parallel incident involved a man dressed as a janitor seen drilling into the wall of a bank vault. An actual janitor had noticed this unusual sight and approached, understandably perplexed by what he had encountered. In response to the janitor's questioning, Smarty offered a confident reply, saying, "Excuse me, when I finish my work, you can clean the dirt here." This brazen response demonstrated Smarty's audacity and his ability to maintain composure even when caught in the act. One might wonder why Smarty, who had already stolen $1 million, would continue to pursue further thefts. However, his motivations were not rooted in greed. Instead, he considered himself an adventurous individual who thrived on thrills and excitement. Returning to the narrative, when the police apprehended Smarty within the removable ceiling, they uncovered the same alarm clock that had been used in previous theft, hidden in the same location. During the subsequent court proceedings, the worker who had witnessed Smarty's attempt to drill the bank vault wall became a crucial witness, confirming that Smarty was indeed the person he had seen engaging in the suspicious activity. While there was no concrete evidence directly linking Smarty to the initial robbery, the accumulation of compelling factors made a strong case against him. The presence of the alarm clock, the discovery of tools consistent with those used in the previous heists, the use of the removable ceiling, the consistent targeting of banks in the Chicago area, the methodical and clever nature of the executed robbery had set it apart from any other heist, rendering it distinct. Yet, this very uniqueness worked against Smarty, making it easier for authorities to connect his operations with remarkable ease. Smarty attempted to deny the accusations and disavow any involvement in the previous heists. Nevertheless, the judge ultimately found him guilty and handed down a 20-year prison sentence. However, the judge presented a proposition to Smarty: if he returned the stolen items, his sentence would be reduced. Initially maintaining his innocence, Smarty had a change of heart when he learned that the sentence would be 20 years. Fearing the lengthy incarceration, he decided to confess. The stolen goods had been hidden in a bag, and it appeared that the bag had been submerged underwater, possibly in a lake or river. When the stolen items arrived at the court through his lawyer, they were wet and emitted a foul odor, bearing the unmistakable signs of their watery concealment. Upon opening the bag, investigators discovered a significant portion of the money and jewelry that Smarty had stolen from the Barrington Bank. True to his promise, the judge reduced Smarty's sentence from 20 years to 8 years. Despite the fact that this reduction came with an additional condition, Smarty had to provide a comprehensive account of how he had executed the heist, divulging every intricate detail of his operation to the investigators. Smarty complied, revealing the existence of the removable ceiling, the concealed empty space in the corner where he had hidden, and all the other meticulous aspects of his scheme. This confession had a profound impact on security standards in banks throughout the United States. Financial institutions began implementing new criteria, ensuring that their bank vaults had no removable ceilings and no empty spaces in the corners. Smarty's audacious robbery had left an indelible mark on the industry, prompting a significant overhaul in security measures. It indeed stood as one of the most distinctive and memorable heists in history. If you enjoy the Adrenaline Crimes content and want to support the channel, you have a few options. You can use the Super Thanks feature right below this video to send a one-time tip, or consider becoming a channel member by hitting that join button to access some awesome perks. If you prefer Patreon or PayPal, the links are in the description below. Your support goes a long way in helping us create more content.